Hello, thanks for tuning in and welcome to the pool party. I hope you can swim because we're definitely diving into the deep end with a huge splash of truth, facts, evidence, information, and proof. Swim. Say what you mean. It's talk about talking. How we listen, how we hear, how we speak, how we hear what we're listening to when we speak, how a listener hears what we're saying, if what we're saying, what they're actually hearing and or understanding. Is it clear? Swim. Say what you mean. Well, that's just the beginning of understanding, because after we get that understanding, how do we accept it? How we respond if it's not what we expect is paramount. Are you okay with the truth? Are you man, woman, human, or spiritual enough to accept the truth? Let's find out. Welcome to The Swimming Pool with your host, Travis Bridges.
And that would be yours truly. Good evening and welcome again. Let's see, is my head too big right here? I think it is. Maybe I'll back up a little bit and it'll get smaller. This is how I used to look when I would want to lose some weight. And I would say, how would I look if my jaws were a little slimmer? I would go, but it didn't work. Let me see if it'll work now. No. You have to watch your diet and exercise and be consistent if you want to look slimmer. You can't just get in the mirror and go, could you imagine me out and about going like this? Anyway, I'm laughing to keep from crying. Happy Wednesday and welcome to the swimming pool. It's another Wednesday and this is what we do, swim. SWYM, that is the acronym for Say What You Mean. And in the words of my buddy Steve Harvey, I got a good one for you. I have two guests that are canned and they're going to come up and I'm going to be before you right now for only about 5 minutes because I'm going to keep going. Today just has not been one of my favorite days. And just as the intro was going, I had on my long face and a couple of seconds into it, I could hear my mother's voice saying, straighten up your face. And I couldn't help but just smile because today was a rough day, and I'm going to be honest with you. I guess maybe because I'm human, I'm going to say greater than 90% of the times that I come on my live stream, I'm in a good mood, I'm feeling good, but I guess, today just is not one of those days. It was kind of rough. It was kind of gloomy in here, just wasn't just like emotionally at my best. So do me a favor, pray for your boy, okay? I'm just having one of those moments. I had a friend tell me earlier, tomorrow is a new day, and that's what I'm going to bank on. Tomorrow's a new day. Some days are better than others. Today's just wasn't one of those good days. But anyway, I have two guests that are coming up in a few. I'm going to take a really quick, short break, and then I'm going to come back with those two guests. My first guest is a unique meeting experience that I want to share with you. I have no words. Right in the middle of needing a breakthrough, I got one, and it came directly through my next guest, and we're going to talk about it. Then we're going to take a break, and then my second guest is the meat of my live stream. It's where I get the title Victim Not So Fast. Now, this subject or topic kind of touched me in a certain way. You know how we used to say something struck a nerve? If you're from where I'm from, you'll know what that means. It means like, something happened that might have triggered something. So as I normally do, I was flipping through social media on one of my short breaks just to catch up, just to see what I'm missing, which is not much. But anyway, I saw something that caused me to get into it. And I even shared it on one of my social media pages and actually got a response. Now, I haven't sent this live stream to the response, my friend that responded, my Facebook friend that responded, but I'm going to send it after it airs. I just forgot. I meant to, but we're kind of sort of talking about my friend. and I didn't let them know, before I did the live stream. But I'm not doing anything wrong or bad, so I can talk about it now and even let them know after the fact. But I'm going to send the link probably tomorrow. But anyway, hey, Christine and everybody else that's watching, looks like I've got 5 other people, hanging out with me. I appreciate it. And guess what? I have over 600 subscribers now. I remember when I had like 50 something. I'll never forget when I got 100 subscribers. I was like, oh man, that's awesome. And I remember looking for 1,000. And I talk about subscribers not because I really want to be heard or seen, but because subscribers, according to social media, YouTube in particular, is how you get certain statuses. And I'm looking forward to that. Again, I'm not here to try to become famous or popular at all, but I do have something that I have passion about, and that is the awareness of how we listen, how we hear, what we do with the information we receive. And I think what got to me is, well, I won't tell the whole story, but what I'm kind of dealing with right now is just how the world is. When it comes to, people and their emotions and their ego. And I'm saying people, I'm going to include me too, because I look for it. I used to say before I got the swim portion, I used to say, I don't want to be proven wrong. Nobody wants to be wrong. But if someone can show me something where I can become more accurate in my thinking and my speaking and even my emotions, I really do. Wow, my pen is falling apart. I really do want to, be invited to that. So I urge anyone that listens to me, whether they're in my friend circle or not, talk to me. I'm always down for, a good communication. But I was just thinking of how the truth doesn't really mean anything to some people when they are trying to protect their vulnerability. And I'm just going to leave it right there. Being transparent is very difficult. And I'll just leave it right there again. But anyway, again, I have 2 guests coming up. I'm going to take a very short break. And when I come back, I'll come back with my first guest. She is awesome. I'm excited about that. And I'll take another short, quick break. And then I'll come back with another guest. And that's when we'll get into the meat. I want you to pay attention to this because it's interesting. At least I think it is. And do me a favor, send me some comments this week, okay? Christine, you good? I know I was supposed to reach out to you this week. I'm going to do it later anyway, but I appreciate you, Christine, for being my good old loyal viewer, watcher, supporter. I'm really grateful to you. And when I see you next time, I'm going to buy you a sandwich, okay? A sandwich could include coffee or tea or something, but that's a promise I'm making on air. When I see you again, we're gonna hook up and just have some good old brother-sister fellowship time, okay? Don't move, hold the spot you got. I'll be right back.
Mighty Horn Music. Smooth jazz, top 40, R&B, inspirationals, and more. Live from the Hollywood Home Studio. Like, share, subscribe. And thanks for tuning in. Atlanta, it's jazz time. The Family Health Centers of Georgia and Toyota present Sounds of Good Medicine. Don't miss jazz greats Peter White and Vincent Ngala. The smooth voice of Phil Perry.
Baby, will you call me the moment?
Along with saxophonist Paul Taylor. And renowned jazz vocalist Nicole Henry.
And I'm feeling good.
Sounds of Good Medicine benefit concert. Hosted by Atlanta's #1 man on stage, MC Lightfoot. Be there Saturday, September 9th, 7 p.m. at the Mabel House Amphitheater in Mableton, Georgia. Bring your own food and drinks, and parking is absolutely free. An awesome evening of great jazz starting at just $59. Saturday, September 9th. Tickets available at Ticketmaster. Presented by the Family Health Centers of Georgia and Toyota.
Hey, Travis.
Hey, how are you?
Okay. Okay. How you doing?
You know what? I'm going to tell you how I'm doing since you ask. Um,
Sure.
I like to pride myself on being sharp, smooth, cool, organized. And if and when I do anything that's like not like living up to that, it just takes me down this long, drawn out path where sometimes I have to go and get therapy. So I like to
Okay.
brag on like my gigs as a musician. I say since I was 10 years old, I've never ever been late or missed a gig, not even once. Very seldom do I not be sharp and on time with any appointment that I make. But I messed up today, didn't I?
No, well, look, we're human. Everybody human. I'm just glad you called. At least you called. I feel good about that.
Yeah,
Good.
okay. Well, time is definitely limited because I didn't forget, I just didn't remember. Is there a
Okay.
difference? It was put on my schedule, and I was when I put it on the schedule, I didn't write it down and I didn't log it on my phone. So I'm going to take 110% full responsibility for that. But we can get right on it, and I don't even have to keep you long.
Okay. That's fine. Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, well, what I'm going to do, I have a live stream that's going to come up, and it is very different from what we're going to do. So I'm going to have two parts. The first part is going to be, you and me, and then the second part is going to be totally different. I might even do two different ones, I'm not sure. But we're going to get started right now. I'd like, first of all, to tell you what my live stream is about.
Okay.
My background, first of all, is in radio, and you may not know that by our interaction. But
Yeah.
my
Okay.
my background is in radio, and from my home/makeshift studio, I write script and I do voices and I produce radio commercials, audio, and some video here and there.
Wow.
So,
Okay.
and nights and weekends, I moonlight as a musician. I provide audio services as a sound technician and/or a musician. I play saxophone, and
Yes.
with all of that, I have a criminal justice degree because once upon a time in life I wanted to be an attorney, and I went back for my degree, and I got almost straight A's, 4.76 GPA, over a 4-year period. But then after I finished my college degree, 10 years after high school, it's like, man, I don't want to see another registration table. I don't want to buy any more books. I don't want to write any more papers. I was done. So I just left that alone.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
during the COVID concert series, I could not get out and play my saxophone, so I started live streaming and playing from my home studio. And after I played the same song like 110 times, I was like, okay, I'm gonna have to do something different. So I tapped into my radio skills, and I started doing this live stream, which is called SWIM, SWIM. That is the acronym for Say What You Mean, and it's pretty much talk about talking, different subjects. My whole focus is to bring awareness to how we listen, how we hear, and whether or not we're paying attention to what we're saying as it relates to how we're feeling, thinking, and/or believing. That's a long intro, but with that being said, at least you have a little bit of knowledge of what I am. I want to get right into, interviewing with you, and if you will be so kind, tell my audience, first of all, your experience with meeting me, because we have only known each other for 10 days and it feels like I've known you all my life. So you just tell my audience
Yeah.
how we met, and let's talk about that experience first.
Okay. Okay. From what I can definitely remember, we were online, and I had sent a program on my show that I did on June 24th at the North Museum of Art. And I believe that you spotted the program, or you spotted the ad, I believe, and you were interested in what I had, what I was sharing with you. And from that, you contacted me, and you were interested in promoting it some more, like as a commercial. And I said, absolutely. I had a good feeling about you. I had a good hunch, a good feeling. Just the hunch told me you were good. You were genuine. You were good. And so I went with it. And the rest is history.
Okay.
We
So
have.
Okay, go ahead. No, go ahead.
Yeah, the broadcast you did for the team, for me, and for the team, it was awesome. And I've posted it all around. It's gotten nothing but good reviews. The work you did, and I made sure you were included in my program. So
I
you're
did
in
see
that
that.
program.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
Anytime.
And it's kind of weird. Let me
Yeah.
tell my side of that story. You know, I have
Sure.
been, you know, in and out on business travel, moving around, and there are times when I guess when things are good, you know, I'm excited about that. But then there are times when I go through a drought. Sometimes I don't have gigs, or sometimes I don't have production work, and I do what I call fishing. So that morning that I woke up, it's like, gosh, man, I've got to do something because, you know, it's getting crazy here. So when I woke up, I was led. It was like, you know, I was taken by the arm, and my fingers just opened up, and it was, you know, your advertisement there. And it's like, okay, let me just send this lady this. And I sent this, and you responded. It was as if I felt like I was just really being led. And it was a perfect 100% flawless, you know, interchange between you and me from the time I presented what I have, and I got everything back sharp, fast, and on time. Just like I was telling you now, I'm never late for anything. And but I just want you to know how much I appreciate, you know, you responding and trusting me, you know, at first sight, and allowing me to be a part of that event. It was amazing, and I just wanted you to know I appreciate it.
Oh, I appreciate what you put forth with everything you did for me, with the commercial, with just believing in me, believing in, you know, the team I have, and just making just it was a godsend. You were a godsend. I think it was God that led us to each other, really. Amen. And so I believe in God. I believe in Jesus. And I believe that we were meant to certainly connect and make this happen. I think what you did is so awesome. The team, everybody was just blown away. They couldn't even believe it. It was so surprised that even some of my team members weren't even ready. And I had to tell them, look, guys, we can do this. I know none of us are ready, but we can do this.
And we made it
happen. So they so we just say, no, we're going to make this happen. And sure enough, they did, and it worked out. And I'm just thankful to you. I'm thankful to God. I'm thankful to Jesus. I'm just thankful for everything falling right into place. And I think it's just believing in yourself and believing in God, and just knowing you're going to be all right.
Amen. I'm going to receive that. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to take a break, and I'm going to play your commercial, although the event passed last Saturday. I'm going to play it now just so that my audience can hear what we're talking about. But before I let you go, and before I get into that commercial, I'm going to come back with the main portion of my live stream, which is interesting. It's going to be good. I'm going to definitely send you the link so you can check it out. But I want to, this can't be our first and only time. We've got to do something together.
Absolutely
I told you, I play a little bit of saxophone here and there. And
I know you do.
Yeah, I want to team up with you on one of these events, and definitely produce some more of your events that, you know, you're having, even if I'm not there. And of course, by all means, spread that around, because I'll take all I can get these days.
I will. I know you play sax. I know you produce events. I mean, I would be very interested in connecting with you, working with you music-wise as well as production-wise. I would be interested also in going to perform in Florida, where you are, in the South Florida area.
Yeah, well,
it's just a matter of setting it up and finances and all that.
Absolutely, I can see that happening. Or how about meeting halfway? Of course, I live in Florida, but I am originally from North Carolina. You didn't know that. And I was thinking of putting something together for the holidays with some of my colleagues, you know, back home in the Carolinas. Maybe I can get you and a couple of your folks to come down, and we just go ahead and turn it out.
That sounds awesome. That sounds good to me. I have family in North Carolina too.
Okay, where at?
They're in I think it's Raleigh.
Raleigh, of course.
Yeah, Raleigh, North Carolina, and I think I forgot the name. I think it's Jacksonville.
Okay. Sure.
Or Jackson. Yeah, I
Jacksonville,
had
New Bern,
lived
have
there, and an uncle.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, the radio station there. One of my
relatives.
buddies worked for the radio station. That's why every time I hear that drop, I always repeat that. So yeah, I think that's good. Let's just put that on the radar, put it into the atmosphere, and let's just see maybe a halfway point. Maybe I could come all the way to you guys, or maybe you can come on down to Florida and let me show you how we do it down in the dirty.
Ah, that'd be nice. Yeah, awesome.
Okay,
Yeah,
ladies.
one last. But what part of Florida?
I'm in Hollywood,
What part
Florida,
of Florida?
which is between
Nice.
Miami and Fort Lauderdale. So it's hot down here. Just want you to know that.
Okay. I know that. Yeah. I was in Florida in '96. I went to Miami. A friend was graduating law school, and I went down there and spent like a few days there. It was in Miami. It was a lot of fun.
Okay.
Yeah.
So give your
Never went to
website
having good
information.
there since.
Give your information to my audience,
my
just so my
website-
audience will know that this is Tyese Brown. I met her just a few days ago, and I was a part of helping them produce
Absolutely.
a major event. So she's going to give you her information if you'd like to either book her or listen to more of her material. Of course, you can do that. And then I'm going to let her go. We're going to play that commercial, and then we're going to come back with my special guest and the meat of swim. So don't go anywhere. Go ahead, give me your information.
Oh. Absolutely. Again, it's Tyese Andrea Brown, a.k.a. Tyese Andrea. My website is www.tynotes, with the S, tynotescorner.com. And you can definitely visit my website. It has a lot of pictures from the event at the North Museum the other day, and earlier videos I've put out on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, quite a bit. And
Awesome.
also I have an album, Summer Days, on Amazon.com, Spotify. It's all, and also Winter Yesterday, and that's a single. And they're all out.
Awesome. Listen, thank you again so much.
So please
I will
enjoy, I hope.
Definitely be in touch with you, and I'm going to go and play that commercial, and then I'll be back with the live stream. So you have a fantastic evening. I appreciate you,
You
and
too.
we'll make something happen real soon.
Thank you, Travis. Thank you very much.
You got to have a fantastic evening.
I appreciate it.
Hey, Newark, it's happening this weekend. Ty Notes Corner presents an evening of jazz, classical, and originals. Featuring Tyese Brown, Stephen Pittman, flautist Christina Rogers, Gregory Booker, Denise Hamilton, Avon Claiborne, Krista Carmine, and Hunter Hayes. Don't miss this moment of expression as these artists pour out their heart and souls just for you, all in the name of the universal language of music. This Saturday, June 24th, 4:30 p.m. at the Newark Museum of Art, the Billy Johnson Auditorium, 49 Washington Street in Newark, an evening of jazz, classical, and originals. This Saturday, enjoy something special and different. Support this event. Parking is absolutely free. Tickets available at eventbrite.com. An evening of jazz, classical, and originals. Produced by Tyese Andrea Brown, aka Tyese Andrea.
Hi guys, it's Tyese. I'm so looking forward to performing at the Newark Museum.
Hello.
Okay, there you are. Can you hear me okay?
Yes,
Okay, say yes again.
I hear you just fine.
Ooh, wow, you're loud. Okay, say you hear me just fine one more time.
I hear you just fine.
One more time.
I hear you just fine.
Okay, yeah. All right, so let's get going. Explain to me what it is you think. Have you heard that clip that I was talking about, yes or no?
No.
Okay, good. Okay, so tell me what it is you think I was asking you before we get into it.
I think you were asking me if it's possible to plant a seed in someone's head of some type of prejudice or predisposition someone might have about you before they ever meet you. In this case, it had to be some type of body dysphoria, like a scar on the face, if somebody might be have something, a judgment about somebody with a scarring issue
Okay.
on their face.
All right. I think I'm going to have another guest, but I just kind of wanted to test the waters, with you and your thoughts about it. I'm going to actually play the clip, and then I want you to tell me what you think of the clip. Okay, I have a direction I'm going, but I just kind of want you to follow along with me if you can. So I'm going to play the clips. If you can hear, if you can't hear this, hold on. Okay, I'm going to try to lean in a little closer because I'm playing it from a device that...
They did an experiment with a group of women, and they put scars on their faces, and they told these women that they're going into a job interview, and the purpose of the experiment is to find out whether people with facial disfigurements face discrimination. They showed them the scars in the mirror. The women saw themselves with these scars, and as they led them out of the room, they said, we're just going to touch it up a little bit. And as they touched it up, they removed the scarring completely. So the women went into the job interview thinking that they are scarred, but actually being their normal selves. And the result of the experiment is that those women then came back reporting massively increased level of discrimination. Indeed, many of them came back with comments that the interviewer had made that they felt were referencing their facial disfigurements. And this is why I think this ideology of victimhood is so dangerous, because if you preach to people constantly that we're all oppressed, then that primes people to look for that. They did an experiment with a group of women, and they put scars on them.
Okay, it's starting over. Did you get the gist of what just happened?
Yes.
Okay, is it what you thought it was? Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay, so what are your thoughts? Just tell me what your thoughts are about that before I move on into the next segment.
My thought is that the idea that you could place a seed of doubt or an idea of discrimination in someone's head would give them an excuse why something may or may not happen, or would give them a predisposition to look for that discrimination before they ever walked in that room.
Okay, so that's your thoughts about that particular clip that you just heard? What are your thoughts about that particular clip?
Well, I would think that a beautiful woman would think that she would probably lean into her looks and think that that was maybe something that was an advantage to her.
Okay, I'm sorry.
However,
could you repeat the last two things? Because I had a glitch. So please repeat that.
So I would think that the idea that these were beautiful women may have leaned into the idea that these type of women leaned on their looks for getting a position. They're beautiful women. Now they put a scar on their face. They're thinking that this is going to impact their ability to get this job. The scar is there, or they think it's there. Now it's, is it real or imagined that this has actually happened? Well, they believed it to be true. The seed was planted in their mind. So they had a mindset going in that this was going to happen.
Okay.
When in reality, it really had no bearing whatsoever on them getting the job.
Okay. So what do you think of that particular experiment?
I think it kind of validates the idea that you can give a person an idea or plant an idea in their head that something's going to happen, and depending on the confidence or the structure of that person, their own self-confidence, they might believe it. They might believe in that victimization.
Okay, I'm focusing on the word. I'm focusing on the word you said, validate. What does it validate?
Say that again, please.
I'm focusing on the word validate. You said this experiment validates, and then you went on. I want clarity on exactly what you're saying that it validates.
That it validated the idea that you could plant a seed in somebody's head that something's going to happen, or an excuse in their head that they're going to be victimized, and they believed it to be true before they even walked in that room and looked for those reasons.
Okay, that's fine. So tell me this. I want you to use your brain real good now, okay? Give me another example. Now, this was an experiment that whoever did the experiment did. And as you said, it validates what you just said, and it does make sense. Can you come up with any other kind of example as to how this could very well be so the case? Anything at all? I'm going to give you a few seconds to think of another example of how something like this can be true, or it could validate something. Go ahead. First thing that pops into your head.
Well, I think racism happens. Racism comes into mind. Maybe even white privilege could come to mind when I'm not thinking about something like that. Those are the kinds of things popping into my head at this moment.
Okay, well, it's the very first thing that popped into my head, and I want to share a response, with an interaction that I had with another one of my viewers/listeners. So I shared my thoughts about this, and then I got response from it. And I'm going to tell you what my response was. I said, although this example is totally made up, it is interesting. And then one of my viewers said, why do you think it's made up? And they said, just curious. Okay, so then I'm going to share with you what my response was. But I want your response on my thoughts of it being made up. What do you think of my thoughts of this scenario being made up?
I think it plants a seed that when you're doing some type of research, you have to figure out how you can establish a mindset for somebody, an excuse for someone. And you can plant that seed, and you can bombard that person day in and day out with that idea until they actually believe it.
Okay, so here's my direct question, though. I want to know what your thoughts are in regards to, because my viewer wants to know, why do I think it's made up? Why do you think it's made up? And I want you to tell me what are your thoughts about me thinking it's made up?
Well, in this case, there was no real scar on anybody's face before or after. They imagined that there was. So the seed that was planted made them believe that there was a built-in excuse for not getting the job.
I don't think you understand what I'm asking you, and if you do, I apologize I don't mean to insult you, but let me try to reiterate what I'm trying to say. I'm trying to say that this whole thing that we just listened to, where this guy made this comment and told this scenario, he explained this study. Okay? What I'm saying is, I think this specific and particular study is made up. What I'm saying is, I think this specific and particular study is made up.
Oh,
I think
okay,
the study is made up. So now tell me what you think of my thoughts about this study being made up.
All right, let me change my perspective now. Why do I think you believe it's made up?
Not necessarily why you think I believe. Listen carefully to the question. What do you think of my statement? I think it's made up. What do you think of my thoughts of it being made up? Because this was a guy that was clearly on social media who shared this experience, and he was making a point. And you just said, just like he said, it validated a thought. Yeah, I focused on your word validate, and that's cool. Mm-hmm. So you're saying, okay, it validates exactly pretty much what he was driving at. So I'm coming away saying that it's made up. And I want you to now tell me, what are your thoughts about my idea that this scenario is made up? It's not a trick question. Just go. You don't have to prepare or embrace. Just tell me your thoughts. First thing that pops into your head.
First of all, it was presented to me as if it was real. Now you're saying that it could be made up.
This is just me because, okay, hold on. Listen carefully to me. I don't want you to think it's not real just because I don't think it's real. You were impressed by it. Not so much impressed, but you thought it was a real study. It seemed like a real study and it made sense. You even said it validates, what you went on to say it validate. So now I'm saying I think it's made up. So again, what do you think of my thoughts that it is made up? Just, you don't have to think your way through this. There's no, I am getting somewhere, but I just want your thoughts. First thing that pops into your head. Don't try to plan your way through what you think I'm going to say. Judge Judy would say, don't try to, I'm always one step ahead of you, and I'm not trying to be a step ahead of you.
Well, I guess you were just very skeptical of the whole thing. And you were suspicious that anything like this could actually have been set up and done.
Okay.
That it was made up.
I know. What does it say about me? What are your thoughts about me thinking that? Because the average person would see something like this on social media with a well-spoken, someone and talking about a study and how it clearly validates, it totally fits what he's saying and it makes sense. If this does not seem like something that could not be possible. So clearly you felt like it validated something because you agreed with it. But when you heard this, nowhere in your head you thought it was made up or not a true study, correct?
True.
Okay.
So
now
I became a gullible listener to this study, and you did not. You came away thinking that it was made up. So you were much deeper, more discerning about the scenario than I was. I just took it for face value. Yeah,
like most people do. And there's nothing wrong with that. You're not good, bad, or ugly because of it, and I'm not better, best, or better, or whatever, because of my thoughts. So again, I want, for the final time, you tell me, what are your thoughts about me thinking that whole scenario thing is made up? Because here's my response. My response says this exactly. Listen to what I say specifically and exactly. Oh boy, I hope I can find it now. Oh man, I hope I didn't lose it. Oh no, oh no, oh no. Where is it? Why is this on my... Oh man, I think I lost it. No, I couldn't have lost it. Impossible to lose. Okay, I found it. Here's my direct response. It says, although this example is totally made up, it's interesting. And then I ask the question, no. Okay, so let me then go on. Because then my listener, my viewer said, why do I think it's made up? Would you like to know what my response was?
Yes.
Good. Glad you asked. Now I've got to find it. Oh God, I hope I didn't lose it. Okay, here's what I said exactly, and I'm going to almost read it verbatim. Listen carefully. Are you listening? Can you hear me well?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. I don't know it for sure. Meaning, I don't know that it's made up. So I'm saying I don't know for sure, but there are many reasons as to why I think it is. So pardon my confident response. My confident response was, it's totally made up. And that was my belief. So I don't know that it is, and I don't want to go back and change, my response, but I'm clarifying it right now. So I really believe it is, so much so that I actually said it. So now I'm clarifying. So now that that's out of the way, I'm going to now move on. So I said, pardon my confident response. I could also discuss it in length at your convenience. That's the next interview that I'm going to have with the next person outside of you. But the short answer is what I said. Okay, here's the meat of what I'm about to say. The short answer is no woman that I know or have known would not see what she looks like prior to walking outside, let alone an interview. It just doesn't seem sensible. Also, it's a direct counter to racial discrimination, which lately seems to be up for the old non-existence award. This type of behavior indeed could exist in those who likely lack confidence in themselves, but I would like the details of this particular study, and to hear it directly from the participants. In the words of my favorite Judge Judy, if something doesn't sound right, it probably isn't true. Sometimes proof and evidence is necessary. In changing the subject a little, I asked my then viewer, do you believe racial discrimination exists in American society? And then I just wanted a yes or no from them. So I know everything I said might have been convoluted. Did you understand it, or do I need to read it all again without interruptions?
No, you don't need to read it again.
Okay. So my response was, I think it's a direct counter to racial discrimination, which some people are now saying racial discrimination is just all in the minds of people who feel and or believe they are discriminated against. So many people, particularly those that look like me, sometimes we feel racial discrimination, particularly in America and in society, by certain things that have happened to our ancestors and or to us. And it's just something that, well, you can explain it. Some people can explain it better, but it's just something that I think is something made up to have something that seems concrete to counter the claim and or complaint of racial discrimination. And my question to you, this is a yes or no. Do you believe racial discrimination exists in American society, yes or no?
Yes.
Okay, so now I'm going to let you have your closing thoughts on why I thought it was made up, why I think it is a load of horse poop, and how whoever this person is that said that, is someone who probably believes that racial discrimination is non-existence. Because I just, acknowledged something a few weeks ago as to where many people were saying that, oh no, it's not, that everybody has a fair chance. And just because of the color of your skin or your racial background, for whatever reason, there is no discrimination. And many people have not. I have not experienced that as a, person who looks like me, have not experienced that in cases where I know of many people who have and many people who actually do. And I can say that I have experienced it throughout my life, and I still feel it now. Part of it is subconscious, and I can differentiate, hopefully I'm saying that right, which part is, probably an over exaggeration of my insecurities maybe. But I do believe it exists, and you can't say it doesn't exist just because, you have a study that's probably fake. And I believe it's fake. Again, if it's not fake, I will totally stand corrected. But I would like to see that study. I would like to see these women, and I would like to hear from them. But you as a woman yourself, how many times have you gone outside without looking in the mirror in public? Tell me, how many times have you done that in your life?
Probably near zero.
Thank you. My point exactly. And again, that's where I'm going to leave it. I'm going to let you have closing thoughts. So go ahead on whatever your thoughts are at this point.
Well, I think your premise on the gullibility of somebody listening to that is fair, because it doesn't seem like a beautiful woman could be led to believe that she has a scar on her face, and then they remove the scar, and then she's now given a reason to not get a job. I think beautiful women probably rely on their looks, know what they look like when they go inside and lean on that. So for me, now that you brought it to my attention, I think it's probably gullible. You saw through the whole thing, and it probably is a gullible way of looking at how a woman might allow herself to be led to believe something other than who she really is. It also speaks to the confidence of a human being. So now that you bring it to my attention, it probably is unbelievable. But the truth is, many people are gullible, and the social media kind of relies on that to get an audience, to get people to think, feel, and believe a certain thing. So I appreciate your discernment in this case, and to make people look at it a little closer.
And I thought about it. I played that out in my head. I'm thinking of some of the most beautiful women that I've ever seen in my life going through this experiment and walking into a place, and then some makeup artist. I know on TV you can make someone look a certain way, and then makeup can really do some things. There's some makeup artists that are great, so I'm not doubting that. But to be sitting in a room in an interview, I think if I'm looking at someone, I could see makeup. And if you put enough makeup on me to make me believe or think that I am disfigured in some kind of way, and then you tell me just before I go into an interview that you're gonna touch it up and then you totally remove it, okay, really? I mean, what kind of nut am I going to believe that something you could put on to make me believe that I am disfigured is now going to be now totally removed in a, in a touch-up process, and then I'm not going to want to see what I look like before I go into the interview? It just doesn't make sense, and it doesn't sound like it makes sense. And like I like to quote Judge Judy, if it doesn't sound right, it doesn't make sense. And it's okay. It's normal to want to question something like that. And sometimes things like that, again, if you just hear that, first thing you think of is, okay, it's on social media. It's, the video is good. Everything sounds good. You got an intelligent person saying it. It sounds like a study that someone can do, and it could be true. But it's a load of crock, and we ought to be a little more careful. And again, as far as I'm concerned, I'm not going to say that I am just, treated like my ancestors, whipped and beaten and sold off and, just called the N-word all in public and just, had my family sold off. I'm not saying that, I was treated like former slaves, but the residue of slavery and the effects of slavery through racial discrimination does exist. Many people that look like me do feel it. We experience it. And me personally, I don't like to talk about it too much because I don't want to be accused of, being a victim. So I don't say anything. I just have to hide it and cry in silence and then just try to work a little extra hard to prove myself in other ways. But I do believe it exists. I've heard of it. I've seen it. I've experienced it in many ways myself. And I don't like it when someone comes after it that way with a load of crock such as this to try to counter it. So my response, and to my next guest that I hope does, allow me to have the interview, I will have a conversation similar to this, because now I would like to know why this person is questioning, why they're curious as to why I believe it's all made up. Because someone that really wants to believe that really has like a touche. Yeah, it's great. This is a great study, and it does prove that people who are complaining about anything. And let me just go on just a little extra mile. I'm going to talk about body shaming, being a person, and I don't mind, it's something that I have, dealt with the challenges of, people that are overweight, there is body discrimination. There have been people who have looked me over because of my size, not just in a bad way. As big as of a man as I am, people have responded based on my size and what I look like, size alone. So the color of my skin, my ethnic background, particularly the history in America in particular, does have some residue on it. And racial discrimination does exist. And of course, there are some people who play the victim all the time about many things. We're not talking about those. Racial discrimination is serious, and I just don't appreciate someone trying to downplay it in any facet. So if I'm wrong, then I will apologize in advance. I'm just calling this the way I see it, and I find it to be, a little exaggerated, and that's where I'm going to leave it. Really, you can have the last closing words, and then I'm just going to go on.
Well, it does sound far-fetched. It does send a message that makes it sound like that somebody is using a real or imagined technique to try to draw attention to planting an idea in someone's head. So I don't think it's a good example of racial discrimination if that's what they were trying to parallel.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm going to let you go. Thank you so much for your time. You know I appreciate it, right?
I appreciate you too, and thanks for letting me weigh in on this topic.
Awesome. All right. We'll talk later. I appreciate you. Have a fantastic evening.
All right.
All right.
You too.
Okay, bye.
Good night.
Well, there you have it. Another one. Hopefully I'll have one coming up after this, but I just wanted to, again, I always say I'm going to give my guest the last word, but I'm going to close, or I'm going to close and give them the last word, whatever. You know, this touched me in a place that caused me to want to respond. I see things like this all the time. We have to be smart. People will do things and say things, particularly if they can raise doubt. And that's all you have to do in a lot of cases is just raise doubt. Then you have to go through, bringing forth the information and the evidence. I'm not saying it's not true, but then this is the information and evidence that I definitely would want to see, because you have to be careful, not to fall for something just because someone is playing it up in a certain way. And, until you've had it done to you, maybe you wouldn't be as sensitive to it. I'm all about finding the truth and exposing the truth and revealing, the truth, as well as exposing lies, So yeah, I've got a little soft spot, for people who over-exaggerate things unnecessarily, just to create some mess, as my mama would say. Anyway, that's where I'm going to leave it. Have a good evening. Thank you so much.
SWYM. Swim. Say what you mean. As much as this information is designed to bring awareness to how we listen, hear, and process, it is also a form of therapy. The little person inside of all of us needs to be heard. As adults, even listening to ourselves is a form of healing, strengthening, and growth. It's okay to speak, talk, express yourself, and be heard, even if you're the only listener. If our testimony does anything at all for anyone else, that makes the continued effort worth the time. Get the words out. You'll feel better, and that's a promise. Thanks for tuning in. We really appreciate it.
Sometimes it seems like all the good times are gone, but you got to keep on searching.
You got to keep on keeping on.
For example, take me standing right here today. I would not be here with you if I believed the things that the people say. You got to keep on searching. Keep it on the cold side. Keep on looking around.
Good night, y'all. Thank you for watching and listening. Have a good rest of the week.